Without doubt, the big story of the day, probably the biggest story of the year, is an impending sale of WWE. Now, we started this morning with conversations following reports that that sale was going to be to the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund. PIF, if you will. Several have come forward since those initial tweets from Steve Mulhausen from DAZN and numerous other people as well, and Cassie Haynes of Body Slam, that state the opposite now. So Ariel Helwani putting out a tweet saying, contrary to reports stating otherwise last night, there is no deal in place at this precise moment for WWE to be sold to Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund or any entity. The organisation is still exploring all options, I'm told, developing. Who else has been speaking?
Brandon Thurston has been on the Twitter machine saying, I asked someone at WWE who would know, who said the story that took hold of Twitter last night about WWE and Saudi Arabia being near a deal to take the company private is untrue. John Alba's also been tweeting saying, a high-ranking hashtag WWE source with knowledge of the situation tells me reports of a sale or agreement to sell at this moment are completely false. That's not to say the talks haven't happened at all.
Not at all, no. So Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer Radio has stated the one thing that we do know about this story is that ever since Vince was ousted, he did open talks with Saudis. So this doesn't come in the last week, and him coming back was obviously to close a deal that perhaps the people who are running the company, for all the reasons we're talking about, probably felt uneasy about. The deal closing was perhaps looking out for a long-term future of the company and to cover their own arses as well, but that is another layer. So this is something that basically, to get amongst the weeds of what Dave was saying there, this is something that Vince has probably been working towards in his retirement.
Yeah, it feels like Vince McMahon, when he retired, has been going around in the background looking for a deal to work on. He's been working on this deal for the last however many months. It's been since last summer, basically. He's come back. Here's the deal we've got. Oh no, here's what I made earlier. One of those things.
Yeah.
And he's just presented to the board and gone, let's just do this and get it done as quick as possible.
Now, a few of the people that came forward at the beginning of the working day, as we say, Cassie Haynes of Body Slam, Steve Mulhausen of DAZN, quite a few sources that have been right in the past. So I think we were right to at least talk about this as a very viable story that is being reported. And now we're kind of in this sort of tale of two camps, really, where you've got one side saying it's a done deal. Mind you, Steve Mulhausen's deleted his initial tweet, hasn't he?
Yes, he's deleted that one, but he's kept one up, hasn't he, Tom, which says something I've forgotten off the top of my head. What did it say, Tom?
It says the follow-up tweet to that, which says that a deal in principle is in place between WWE and Saudi Arabia, but the initial tweet has been deleted. A few others are still up as well. Fightful Select, very much in the side of this isn't a done deal. I believe it was John Alba that Sean Ross Sapp was quote retweeting as well. There's a lot happening at the moment. There's a lot of moving parts. I genuinely believe there have been conversations.
Oh yeah, I think that bit has been nailed down. I think the bit that people are getting a bit confused about and either taking one side or the other side is just waiting for the confirmation. And I think that's all we can do, isn't it? Just wait for the confirmation from the company themselves, whether it be Vince McMahon or the shareholders, whoever the hell puts it out, just wait for that confirmation, because that's where Sean Ross Sapp appears to be, and he's my go-to guy when it comes to the professional wrestling news. He saw that Helwani tweet we spoke about earlier, and he put the old fingers down saying, look at this is what I feel too. So let's wait for the confirmation, eh?
let's do that, but let's also continue to report as we get news and sift through it all, and we'll do that best we can via cultaholic.com and via our Twitter at Cultaholic as well. News throughout the day as we get it. We'll touch on a couple of other things and we'll let you go about your day. Tony Khan has updated us on AEW house shows.
Yes, he's been speaking to The Zone, not DAZN, The Zone, two separate words. There's something we're talking about. We have a great live events team. Jeff Jarrett, of course, is involved in that.
He joined back in November, I believe.
Oh, he's been here then, everyone, in the past year. The year of Jarrett.
Who would have thought 2022 would be the year of Jeff Jarrett?
But back to what TK had to say. He said it's something we've talked a lot about and building out of live event business. There's definitely a lot of demand for AEW live events, and now that we have this great, big, strong roster that wants to do these live events, so it's something that we are going to do. And that's good to hear that the big, strong roster is going to get used.
and doing other stuff and visiting. And you know what? It's a great chance to visit cities and towns and places that you may not necessarily have the infrastructure to do a live or a dark elevation or a Dynamite and a Rampage in. So to do them there is a good idea. We saw that a year or so back with the House Always Wins, which was their live event around WrestleMania time. So I thought that was excellently timed. There's talk of a AEW live event in the UK. Who's to say they don't just run that as a live event rather than a pay-per-view? It'd be a shame.
It would be weird.
It'd be a shame, but it's not out of the realms of possibility because they've not announced anything regarding an AEW show. They could easily run it as a live event just to test the market for AEW.
But the very concept of live wrestling shows that aren't televised for companies on the scale of your WWEs and your AEWs is very much a talking point, I think, because of WWE obviously did it for the longest time, 5, 6, 7 nights a week, doing matinee shows,
style. 2
a day and all that sort of stuff. And it got to the point eventually where they were losing money on those events, so they've scaled them back a little bit. Not so much that they're doing like one a week or whatever, but they have scaled them back. And now AEW going into this new world for them, how are they going to do it? Will it be multiple times a week? Will it be one a week? I don't know. It's just an interesting thing, isn't it? One company losing money.
Yeah.
They're doing this. I don't know.
It's eyes on AEW Dynamite tonight, in amongst a lot of moving and shaking around the wrestling world. Dynamite set to be a banger this evening. Big card. Jungle Boy Jack Perry and Hook facing Big Bill and Lee Moriarty in tag action. Bryan Danielson and Takeshita.
Takeshita's the interesting one for this week for me, because there's been stuff. There was at PWG, there was a picture of Dirty Don Callis speaking with Takeshita. Takeshita had a match a couple of weeks ago where Don Callis was looking from the skybox at a potential new client. Imagine Don Callis being the mouthpiece for Takeshita.
Ooh, that's quite a tasty one. We'll see Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker, the Killer and the Pillar, team up to face Saraya and, as it stands, her mystery partner Toni Storm. Now, it was suggested that Toni Storm was announced last week to kind of calm down the internet about thinking it'd be Mercedes money. But I still think that conversation still is in the air, potentially. There's a lot of storyline fun you can have with that tonight. We'll see how that goes. We continue the best of 7 with Death Triangle and the Elite. A ladder match.
It's the last one, isn't it?
Oh,
the
yes.
decider.
And this is going to be fun. This is going to be all out silliness of the highest order. I'm all for it. And a very well built competition between Jon Moxley and Hangman Page taking place, which may very well main event the evening. Give them time; they will give you the world.
I love the build. I've lost my memory. I can't remember my child's name. Not my problem. You're soft. That's been the build.
Yeah.
Fantastic. It's been a bit better than that. I'll give you that. But that's the crux of it. I like the sassiness of Jon Moxley recently.
Mox has been really great in this role as like a good guy, but not your obvious good guy. Steve Austin-esque, I would say, where it's like, I'm a good guy, but I'm not your mate. I'm here to wrestle, I'm here to work, and if you're soft, that's on you. Yeah. Like, it's been a great story they've told, and I'm excited to see how they pay it off tonight at AEW Dynamite later on this evening. Just a reminder of our top story, and then we'll let you crack on. New reports saying that the conversation around WWE being bought by Saudi Arabia could be untrue. Ariel Helwani, Brandon Thurston, John Albert, among other names, saying that those reports are, quote, completely false.
If you are watching this, and I know you are, you're all git.
He loves this.
Get this deal done if you're going to do it this week. Get it done before 5 p.m. BST on a Thursday, because then the Cultaholic Wrestling Podcast curse will not be a thing for the second week in a row in 2023, Vince. You old prick. Get it done quickly. Sick of this happening, Tom. Sit there for 5 hours every Thursday afternoon. He waits. Then we'll stop recording. Oh, let's do the big news of the year, shall we? After the podcast has been recorded.
Love you.
Get it done, Vince. Do it now.